Howdy, 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 Indies. So glad to see you. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I was having some technical difficulties. We got some brand new equipment in recently, and it was working flawlessly an hour ago, and then it quit. So I apologize for my lateness. Please let me know if you can hear me okay. Want to make sure that that's functioning the way it should. But I'm excited because today is an audit session. So this is where I get to be a know-it-all and look at your stuff and tell you if there's anything that you need to improve that I would recommend for better results, stuff like that. So if you have not already, you can go to the watch page for this event and put in links. I know in the chat, links are a little bit cumbersome, right? So if you could go ahead and put those in the comments below. One tip, if you would like me to look at emails or automations that you're working on, you can also get the MailChimp links for those as well, so that you can show me a web page version of the email. So if you have some of those that you'd like to have looked at, you can do that as well. So I'm going to check our comments here. Of course, because there's tech difficulties, I'm a little bit behind pulling everything up, so be patient with me here. Everything's loading slower than I would like. How is your Wednesday going, by the way? I'm happy this week's half over. I'll tell you, I had my butt kicked at the beginning of this week. Anybody feel me? I was just like, holy cow, is this Monday still? So, all right, so I'm looking through the comments. Magic Jones is here. Dylan Gavin is here. Hello, Dylan. Katie Thompson's here. Hi, Katie. And you guys are chatting with each other. That's great. You guys are helping each other audit. That's beautiful. I love that. Dylan literally just joined Indie Pro to find out if he can make an ad after posting. Yes, Dylan, you can. So we'll go over that. Let's see. So Dylan's questioning, so I'm gonna keep rolling, Dylan, but I'll come back to you. Katie and Jason are just chatting together. Major Moment is here. Hello, hello. Michelle's here. Hi. And okay, so looking through these comments, you guys, I was late, so you guys were chatting a lot before I got here, which is awesome. Kevin's here. Hi, Kevin. How are you? Let's see. Katie's helping everybody figure out where to put the questions. Thank you, Katie. Okay, so I'm just catching up. Oh my gosh, you guys are so chatty today. I love that. I love that. I love that. So, I'm going to go ahead and get into the comments section here. I'm going to go from oldest to newest, right? So hopefully if you haven't had a chance to put in your question yet, you can go there and do that now so that there's no problems. So we're going to start with Katie, and she would love for me to audit her opt-in page. There's a heap more that needs checking, but this is a good place to start. If I manage, I'll get anything else finished in time and I'll add it in. Great. And then Jason helped with his little comment of the typo there. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share, and bear with me while I change screens. There we go. Nice clean screen. You don't want to look at my desktop. There's like 50 folders and screenshots and all the greatness. So, all right. So I'm going to drag my thing over here. There's my comments. And this is Katie's opt-in page. Here we go. This is me excited. Okay, so Bittersweet Experience, Claim Your Spot. I want you to hear my entire new album before it's released. You'll get a high quality download of all the songs and exclusive behind the scenes look at each song. Great, and you've got a cool video here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my... Hold on, I need to pause this preview because I'm getting my own vocal back at me. Great, so now I can hear Katie's video. Okay, not that I'm going to go ahead and speed you up just so I can still get all the video, but hear you. Great. I love that you've got some background music here. You've got your little logo down here on the right, which is great. Oh, you have a little subscribe button. That's cute. And you're very personable. This doesn't seem awkward at all. You're kind of putting in the important points, right, of why they should be doing this. Great. I think that's short and sweet. Perfect. The only thing I feel like I'd like some division here, maybe some type of different header background or whatever, where the bittersweet experience is. And then when it breaks into I want you to hear, I kind of want this same break like there is in this section here. But that's just a little kind of note. I love your color scheme. This bittersweet experience, this red could probably be a little bit brighter. I think it's a little dark for me, and I have certain settings on my monitors because I am working in Photoshop a lot of the time and working in web design and hex codes and stuff. So my screen, it probably looks different to you guys simply because it's like you don't see my monitor settings, right, when I'm sharing my screen, but this still looks, even though I've got kind of HD going on, this still looks a little dark to me. So I would go ahead and change that to something that's a little lighter. Red's not bad, especially on this black background. That's totally simple. But I would I would change the color. Okay, so you get the story, the music, and the access. All the access. I love the logos here. All right. Deeply personal. Sorry guys, I'm just reading this. You can read along with me. Yeah. I think this is great. Okay, perfect. I like this little italic here. You could probably do either quotes or italics, especially because this little quote kind of bleeds in your S a little bit. Such a minor thing, just, third-party perspective on that. And you may need a comma here, right? Tiny notes. And I love kind of your stamp here. Is this the same K as the K that I saw on here? Looks like it. Nope, it's different. So whichever, just from a branding perspective, you might want to have those together. I think it could be cool if you had at least one photo in this of you, like of you playing, right? Or you with an instrument or singing, whichever it is that you do. I think that even though this video's here, some people are just going to come here and scan, right? And if all they see is this black and white, and I see that there's kind of there's a gradient on this, right? It's not like a straight white, which I like. I think that's very tasteful, especially compared to, just doing straight white. But because it is black and white, I think that maybe you could even like put a photo right here on the left of your narrative here. I think that could be good. That's my 2 cents. I also love your little quirky music logo down here. That's great. Looks like your pixel's firing. I'd recommend putting a view content here, which if you haven't seen how to do that, I'm pretty sure in the free plus shipping and handling funnel, as well as the ultimate album launch. I think both of those kind of walk you through pixel setup. I would just consider putting view content here, because then, view content is essentially a pixel event that lets us know they're one step before like either adding to cart or seeing the opt-in form, right? And the reason why I recommend that, you can obviously, when you're doing ads for this, you can also optimize for landing page views, which kind of do the same, but they kind of don't, right? Because there's a funnel to it. And if you ever get into Facebook analytics and build funnels in there, you're going to want to kind of segregate view content, which are Basically it's view page, but it's a page view of some kind of magnitude, right? There's something that they can then do from it versus if someone was just on your site and viewing your page. So that's the only thing I'd recommend here with your pixel. If I zoom on down to like mobile, okay, yeah, the layout sticks. I like how the gradient kind of fades into here. So yeah, this all looks good to me. I would just, those couple little notes about, grammar, punctuation, if you want, lighten this up. Maybe consider adding a picture over here to the left of your copy and then adding that view content pixel. That would be my 2 cents on that. Otherwise, it looks great. I think your video is very genuine feeling. It feels like it's you and it doesn't feel forced, and I like it. So hopefully that's helpful, Katie. All right, so I'm actually going to move this to the other side so that you guys don't have to look at me looking at the chat, and bring in a new thing over here. Oh, that's funny. Only did it on this window. Oh, that's so funny. It won't let me hide the bookmarks. Okay, well, now you guys get to see all of my all of my bookmarks. Sorry, can't hide them. So, let's see. Katie says you're yet to update YouTube. Right, with the branding. Gotcha. Otherwise, it looks really good. So, next up is Jason. It'd be cool if I could get my brand Facebook page audited. Thank you. Working on your funnel now. Going to get your CDs printed. Awesome. Your fan finder video should be in the first post. Okay. And you've got a campaign running now for about a week, and you just set your lookalike campaign and are optimizing it. Awesome. All right. So, oh, I like your branding. Was your logo green in the chat? It is. It's inverted. That's really cool. Yeah, I like this whole thing already. I would, the only thing is that videos tend to not do great on Facebook pages, especially on mobile, which is the majority of traffic on Facebook. I spend probably 12 to 16 hours a day on my desktop computer. So that's not true for me, but for most users, I mean, we have some analytics coming back on our artists' like websites when we're looking at the analytics and the usage, where 85 to 90% of viewers are on mobile. And what we've found is that these videos they just don't perform as well, especially like if this send message button is something that is related to a campaign that you're running or will be running soon. Like if you've got an auto reply that sends them to your album launch or something like that, it's really better to have a static image. It's kind of like we say about websites as well. Like even though you can do video backdrops, whether or not you should is still debatable, right? Just because something fancier is available, it doesn't mean that it's going to be more functional. So I would consider, making something. I mean, this is a cool video. I totally get it. You probably are a rock artist. I'm not sure, but that's what it looks like. And you play a lot of instruments, so I get it. But you probably want to make something that tells people what they get if they click on the button, right? Because that's why we have a button nice and fixed at the top. And it's funny because if you listen to the Creative Juice podcast where we're talking about websites for the past 4 weeks, something that we say a lot is that, when you get to a website for a marketing company, above the fold, right, before you scroll, we'll have a button that, does something significant, right? Gathers a lead or, snags you into their direct contact funnel right away. And musicians don't tend to build their websites that way. But Facebook even knows that this is the right way to go because look, they've got a button right at the top, right? And if you're on mobile, it's like centered right below this image. So it can be kind of a pain in the ass pain in the butt. Hope no one's sensitive to language because I'm a combat vet, so I swear. But if you're on mobile, you have to frame it a little differently, right? So getting the format of the banner at the top of the page can be a little bit cumbersome, but I think it's totally worth it to let people know, like, hey, click this button because you're going to get something cool, and use it the way we would use a website if we were coding that. That would be right at the top. I'd like to show you an example of a site that I just finished building. And we're still working on it a little bit, but you can see this is Big Jaw. He's a comedian and YouTuber. And this is a brand new site. And so we've got, links up here for things, obviously, but this is the first thing that comes in, is essentially his SMS list. That's something that he's running right now. And that is what's above the fold. If they scroll down, then they get into some merch. And what you'll see is that we basically have kind of a permission-based offer at the top of the page, and then we have an affirmation stage, which this is like referring back to the buddy system. But essentially, it's assuming that they know something about you. If they're coming to your site, they probably came here from socials or from somewhere where they already know who you are. You're very rarely going to get cold traffic, people who don't know you on your website, right? It's just SEO is not really that much of a thing. And if they're searching you, it's probably because they know who you are, you know? So generally then we're like, okay, going back to the buddy system, the next thing would be permission. And then the next thing would be affirmation, right? Where we're offering them a way to be in contact and then offering them something for sale. So in the same way, that's how I think about Facebook pages when I'm setting those up. I know I'm kind of giving you a long explanation, but I think it's, something that we see a lot. And so I just wanted to explain why, instead of saying videos don't work is great, So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at okay, so you've got a live stream here. And you've got a couple other things. I don't see your fan finder just yet. Unless it's the live stream. Is that your fan finder? Otherwise, if I go to your videos, maybe you're still working to pin that one to the top. Okay, I'm sure it's this one. I love the presentation there. That's great. Okay, you've got a cover going on. Dude, I love Enya. Totally grew up with that. Was my mom's Clean the House soundtrack, was Enya. It was great. So Saturdays vacuuming to Enya. Wow. This is really cool, man. Yeah, I dig this. I mean, I'm a rock kid, so this is my kind of jam. But I love this like broken down kind of musically, whatever they call that app, kind of simulation. I love that. So yeah, I mean, so far this looks really good, man. I would pin that video to the top, right? Which I think you're saying you intended to do, and maybe it just didn't happen when I came in here. But yeah, overall, I think it looks really good. I think your branding's really consistent, looks very purposeful, right? And that's really kind of the stuff that you want to do. You've got a little bio in here. Typically, nobody reads those, but it is still good to have it, especially if you're like sending your stuff to a booking agent, things like that, right? So this looks great. I'm down for it, man. I think it looks good. Great job. So I'm going to go back to my comments over here. I'll also check the chat right quick. See if you guys have any feedback before I move on. Oh, you'd like me, Magic, you want me to send a message. Okay, so let me share my screen again real quick, since you said that that's something that you wanted to... Sorry, since you were running a fan finder, I did not assume that you wanted me to check this. So you can see I get a get started button. So hopefully that's what you want to happen. And when I click get started, we get a little flow in here. Magic bot, I'm down with it. Yeah, and then I'm assuming this is maybe our template for artist education. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so it looks like it's working, right? Great job. Back to comments. Pure Bradley Osborne, you're in. Welcome. Lucy's lurking. Great. Happy to have you, Lucy. Katie's been re-listening to episode 68. Yep, that's great. Yeah, and thanks for the recommendation, Katie. Our buddy system, it's funny, guys, like the buddy system gets glossed over so much because people are like, OMG, like my brain doesn't care about this. And if you haven't listened to episodes 67 through 69 or whichever, they're kind of in there, the buddy system episodes, you can hear why we most definitely stress, like, learn this stuff and learn what it means. Indie Founder right now is in session, and we spent the whole first week on the buddy system. And it's not just learning the psychological part of it, like, oh, I can't go to someone in a bar, ask them to marry me. I get it. Like, it's more about what do these different stages mean in my funnels, right? And where do they break? Where am I not doing the next thing? Where am I not following up to continue nurturing people to the next level? And then that's where you get the super fans, right? Or your 1,000 true fans, whatever model you're thinking of. So I definitely recommend you guys listen to those episodes as well as the website episodes if you're working on a website right now. Okay, so yeah, Jason, I'm assuming you love Enya. So pin the fan finder campaign to the top. Yep. It doesn't float to the top unless you pin it. Otherwise, it shows the most recent. Great. So I'm going to go on down back to the next audit, but great job, Jason. It looks wonderful. Alexandra asks, just started our first fan finder 4 days ago and wanted to hear your thoughts on how it's performing. I know it's not the best video by your training, but it's what we have right now, and it's the best way to represent the music we make at the moment. Okay, great. And it looks like you've put a few links in here for me, so I'm going to go ahead and click on those, and I'll share my screen shortly, guys. All right, so oh my gosh, everyone's blowing me up. Go away, those little red buttons. Okay, right. So as you already know, I'm assuming this is a lyric video. Yeah. It can be, I'm kind of scanning through the screenshots here. It can be really difficult to, it's really difficult to make a lyric video work. Now, I have made a lyric video work in the past. It had fire. So it was a little bit of tension grabbing, more so, like it had a little pattern interrupt to it. But yeah, I think this is going to be tough. You're still going to get views on it, right? And there's still, like, all of that is still going to accumulate, but it looks like you're getting comments and reactions. I don't know why people are sad, but it's, you can't, like, there's very few fan finders we've seen that generate nothing, like nothing at all, right? That typically does not happen. It's just about whether people are learning who you are. So from this, I get that. And trust me, I know, right? But I just want to give you kind of some motivation to get something with your face in it. Because, for example, my lyric video, which had fire in it, did not have a picture of me. And so when I went to advertise back to these people and I just used images or video of me, they were like, who is this chick, right? And they made no association between the video and me. So then I tried including a few seconds of the video in front of me, and that worked a little better. But they also thought, oh, I'm seeing this again. I already saw this. So it creates a barrier when you're like the thing that comes after fan finder, right? Which is getting them to care about your artistry and all of that. So now if you want to run this to, kind of feel good about it, you'll get some vanity metrics out of it. There will be some people who are what we call automatic buddies who are going to come into this. They're going to love this song a lot and then look at your profile and go find you on everything and look you up. But that is a very, very tiny minority of the types of people that you're going to, attract. Now, what a fan finder can do for you is, you know, the people who do watch 75% of this are probably pretty high intent to retarget with a video that, you know, you end up doing that is to spec, right? That is, you know, what we would recommend for a fan finder. And in that case, then you have your audiences kind of figured out, right? So, I mean, that is one thing. Those are the kind of the takeaways that you can get from videos like this. But, you know, then you're advertising twice instead of advertising or 2 videos before you even get into the meat of it instead of 1, right? So you're kind of doubling your ad costs. But, you know, it can be good for exploratory reasons. And before you invest like a ton of money into, you know, a video production, which you don't have to, but you might want to, you know, this helps you kind of test it out and make sure like, oh, this is viable product. People respond to this, right? So yeah, I think that's great. I'm going to move over your other stuff here. Okay. So you've got a IG version of it. I'm assuming this is a minute. I hate how it doesn't show time stuff on Instagram. I'm so early millennial with my criticisms of IG, man. Okay, and I'm going to open this Google Drive link you put here. Okay, great. So you've got some of your stats in here. This is the stuff I love, though. Okay, so you're targeting Muse, Keen, Linkin Park, Incubus. Gotcha. These are like a lot of the ones that I end up advertising to. Bring Me the Horizon. Love it. Okay, so taking a look at your, it looks like you've got these kind of, they're paced out well, right? Like there's no clear overtaker, right? I would, if I, you know, had to go off a knee jerk of listening to your music for 5 seconds, I would say that like the Papa Roach crowd, it doesn't surprise me that that's doing well, right? It's a little bit more of a mature rock sound versus, you know, especially what Fall Out Boy is doing lately, right? Or what Muse is doing, right? Like it's definitely got more of a, I don't know what I would call that, kind of a stadium rock kind of vibe to it, right? And the demographic is more middle of the road, whereas like, you know, My Chemical Romance is like guys who wear eyeliner, you know, which is a very typical kind of crowd. So your CPMs look good, right? Nothing over $2, which is really typically what I would like to see for CPMs, though it ranges throughout the year, right? As far as cost per views, let's see, we're looking, yeah, this is a little high. I would go ahead and turn off for your 75% views because that's usually really what I'm looking at. Your conversion looks okay, like the number of impressions to 75% video views. We typically expect about 90% of people to fall off to the 25% view, which I'm not seeing, and then another, 50 to 80% to fall off to the 75% video view. So you've got about 10% of the people, or I'm sorry, 1% of the people making it from impressions. That's typically, you know, I would say that's normal, but your cost per view is a little high here. Now the thing is, if you're running this many ad sets, you're probably going to reach your, 1,000 at the 75% video view pretty quickly so that you can create a lookalike. And usually that's where we start seeing these costs go down. These aren't terrible, right? Usually I start to get alarmed when it gets into the 30-cent range for a cost for 75% view. So, you're definitely not doing terrible here, but great. Like if your audience is really on point, you're going to get it under 10 cents. So, for 75% view, which I know is crazy, but that's really kind of what we've been seeing as a standard. But otherwise, yeah, thanks for including this because this gives me way more feedback to give you. I'm also going to open your IG stats. And if any of you guys are running fan finders, like this might be useful for you as well. Because obviously just knowing what some benchmarks are, everything varies always. But wow, cost per views are high in Facebook compared to an Instagram. But also, okay, so I'm assuming this is a 1-minute video, right? So we're talking about what length in comparison? 340. Okay, so even under a third of the view time, right? So yeah, I mean, this looks pretty typical for IG. IG gets a lot more impressions and conversions, right? Like your 75% video view conversion as compared to the impressions is much higher, right? Your cost is much lower. But also this is because it's only a 1-minute video, right? So really what you would want to look at then is like, okay, so if I have 100% view on IG for Incubus at essentially 9 cents per, right? What is my cost per 75% view times 3 or times 3.4 because it's 3, or it's actually 40 seconds would be 6, so 3.66 times longer, right? Is it actually a third of the cost between the two because of the length, right? So in reality, your costs aren't actually differing that much, even though it's a lower cost per 75% or whatever. It's actually not doing more for you necessarily than Facebook is. But that said, this is all doing pretty well. I would say this is pretty middle of the road. I think once you transition to lookalikes, you'll be able to get this cost per result down under the 2 cent mark, which is always a goal, right? We'd like to see 1 cent there or even sub 1 cent. But typically that doesn't happen until you get those lookalikes rolling or you've run, more significant budget on it. So yeah, it does look like you've probably got a couple 175% video views. So you might have a little way to go, before you are able to create those lookalikes for that 1,000 people, right? Is the minimum before you do the lookalike. But once you do, I think you'll see that these costs are going down, right? So that's what I have to say about that. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close all those. Back to the comments section, y'all. So, okay, I got to scroll up and find where I was. Katie said, when I first listened, it didn't make much sense, but now I'm like, shit, all this makes sense and I need to implement. Yeah, the buddy system, we run the buddy, like when we take on an IndieX client, we run a buddy system audit, where essentially it's like, let me show you guys real quick. And then we'll get back to questions, but I'm just going to take like 3 minutes to show you this because I think it can be really helpful. My gosh, I have so many things in here. Where is it though? Oh my goodness. Well, maybe I'm not going to be able to find it. Hold on. Sorry, guys. If I can't find it in another 45 seconds, I'll quit. But it can be very helpful. I want to show you what we did in Indie Founder for week 1 with the buddy system. And the reason why I'm getting into this real quick, even though this is an audit session, is because it can be just exponentially helpful, right? And in figuring out why it's valuable. And obviously, like, this is kind of my passion project. So I definitely think it's really important, or I wouldn't talk about it. So, all right, cool. I found it. Let me get back into screen share. You can see we've got a few things here, but oh my gosh. Let me see if I can just view the email, because man, when MailChimp changed their stuff, I became a lot less fast in it, right? So, for example, this is what they got in week 1, right? And so the assignment was essentially to map out their buddy system and take a look at their audiences in each stage of the buddy system and their online structure, and how each part of their online structure was supporting the buddy system, and lessons learned, like what things are working and what aren't, taking a look at the entire funnel overview, right? And like where stages are kind of getting bottlenecked because there isn't anything automatically happening on the website, in ManyChat, in email, blah, 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 right? So this is really important. You know, this is something that we prioritize. And I think once you realize and understand this, you'll be like, okay, Fan Finder is step 1 of like 8 steps to getting someone where they need to be so that I can make a living doing music, right? And so that's why the buddy system is super important. So thanks for bringing that up, Katie. All right, Streetlight Sound said, this is dope. You've been a member of Indepreneur since May. Awesome, Jay Crum. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for coming by, Jay. I'm glad you made it. Dylan said, I wrote my questions in the Facebook thing. I can only view this on YouTube because I signed up like 10 minutes ago. Okay, and Katie says it's in there. Okay, you guys are taking care of each other. I love it. I love it. Continuing on through the comments. Is this an automated spreadsheet or just stats you copy and paste it over? It's copied from Facebook. Yeah, and also so you guys are aware, let me drag this over here. If you go to business.facebook.com and go into, you know, I'm just going to go into any of my accounts here, right? And if you're showing, and this is in the new UX, so, you know, just keep that in mind. But if you go into, let's see, it's going to have changed now in the ad sets, right? If you're looking in the old UX, right, it's going to be up here at the top right. You're going to be able to click down and select export table data. And if you do this, you can export table data here. And that's how you would be doing that. So if you're interested in doing that, that's how you do it. All right. So Chelsea was saying, I was hoping inside you had some kind of Zapier thing happening. Oh, yeah. Well, that would be cool, but would also run a lot of tasks, right? So depending on how many tasks you're paying for in Zapier, that could max out your account very quickly. Okay, so which lessons teaches you how to set up that spreadsheet? Yeah, I think if you guys export the data, you'll get what you're looking for if you're talking about those stats. And then you can like calculate cost per 75% view yourself just by looking at the amount spent divided by the number of 75% video views. So pretty simple. As long as you export that table data, you should be good to go. All right, so Jay Crum is here. Would love for you guys to audit my Fan Finder video. I'll post stats in a sec. Great. Well, I'll look at your video while those comments are populating in there. Dude, I like this already. Tight lines, man. I like, yeah. This is cool, dude. So I want everybody to take notice, like, this is in a basement with a, like, one light and a stool. I also like that the lyrics change, right? Like in the beginning. Oh, that was cool. All right, real quick. Did I miss it? Hold on, it's coming. Maybe not. I might have missed it. So anyway, this is, I like that the lyrics are kind of doing different things. It gets a little repetitive here at the end, right? But especially like some of this little like animation in here. I especially noticed when you just got one-liners part right here. Yeah, that is rad. I dig that. So the only thing here, Mr. J. Crum, is that you've got a 1 minute 9-second video. So it's going to be a little tougher for you to do the follow-up, right? To figure out like how many people are truly into it. Because a lot of us will watch something that we're not that interested in for 1 minute, you know? And in fact, that's why a lot of like fan finders will have lots of 25% video views, but not 50% video views. And it's because we kind of lose interest in something that we're like, no, this isn't a good fit for me, it's usually, somewhere around or after the 1 minute mark when we make that decision, if it's close but not on point for, something that fits for you, right? So that would be your only challenge, right? But I'll tell you right now, I really, I dig the video format. I dig your words, right? I like what you're saying. I think that it's a good beat and that you did this animation stuff. And I know when I've looked on like Fiverr for video animations like this, they're not expensive, right? They might be $25 to get it in HD, right? Or something like that, but they're definitely not expensive. So, I mean, if you didn't do this on a shoestring budget, I'm impressed, right? Because I think that, you could definitely do this really simply, right? So, but yeah, it looks good. It looks like comments are definitely rolling in. Of course, like when you comment, those are always going to show at the top, right? So typically I try to like limit my like free, like the comments, like if I just write a comment like this, right? I try to avoid those and I try to keep my comments all in replies. And the only thing that I'll comment myself is like the one that you have here. Like, I appreciate the love. Check out the full version here. You've got a link, because as a user who's not interacted with your brand before, you can see that's the first link that I see. It then also notifies everybody who's commented so far. But if you have a bunch of these, it doesn't show any of that social proof that we're trying to gather, right? We're trying to gather what other people are saying. So if I view new comments, then I'm going to see the tags. I'm going to see people talking about it, right? It looks like, you're either doing really great comment hygiene or everybody's really excited about this, and both are good. So it looks really good though, man. Like I dig the format. I dig the music. I think it looks really good. I think you're going to be challenged when you follow up with people. But you might have to advertise a longer video after that to really segment people out. But other than that, I think it looks good, So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the stats you posted. Oh, I don't have access. Can you please make that shareable? I can show you real quick how we do. This is how we do that. Like Major Moment did, right? If you click up here on share, right? And then you'll see like anyone with the link can view. That's the setting that we'll want for that. So if you want, go ahead and do that share, and then you can post it in the comments. I'll refresh and I'll get it. All right, Michelle is up. What's going on, girl? How are you? Major Moment retracted a message. It sounds so scandalous, right? Cool. All right, I'm going to pull Michelle's opt-in page. That is your profile. That is not your opt-in page. Okay, first audit, I'm getting this SSL problem. So depending on where you've built it, this might be a ClickFunnels thing. And I can tell you how to do that real quick. So I'm just going to go. So, it's a MailChimp form. That's crazy that that's happening on a MailChimp form. I don't like MailChimp forms, but I will objectively say that it's not typical for a MailChimp form to have that security certificate problem. But that's a problem, because I don't know how to fix that. You might want to message their support channel and be like, yo, why is it doing this? Because if you notice, let me see if it'll do it again, or if it's going to remember my preference. No, it remembered my preference. But if you noticed, you basically, like, the default button was back to safety, which means don't go to the page. And I had to click advanced and then click get me through. So that's going to be a huge barrier in getting people to your opt-in page, like before they've even landed, right? Let alone like trying to convert them once they get here. So All right, cool. So I know this is a MailChimp landing page. They're typically kind of the way that they're laid out is usually more complementary to mobile. If you can make this logo smaller, I would. Typically for an opt-in page, what we want to see is whatever is happening higher up, right? Like at this point, they have to, if you're doing good advertising, right? So say you've got your fan finder and people are loving it, and then you run your opt-in ad where you're like, hey, sign up for this thing. There's going to be, if you're doing the ad right, people are already going to know what they're coming for, right? In which case, which is, you know, when we were looking at Katie's opt-in page, she had, you know, a form right at the top, right? Because if you're doing the advertising right, they're ready to go. They don't need to scroll down. They don't need to hear about it. You know, the best opt-in targeting, they're already going to know what it is because you're explaining in the ad before they even click on it. So that's why we like to have a form right at the top, because what we found is that even if people are like, yeah, I'll do that, once they get here, they're like, okay, where is it? And they won't scroll, which I know, like, how lazy are people really? But they're like, oh, it's not here, and I don't want to. So we typically like to have a form right at the top. That said, this logo is like really big and takes up all of your above the fold space once you actually open this on a phone, and it especially does when we're in web version. So that if you can make it smaller, I would, or if you can't make it smaller, I'd remove it, because it's actually in the cover of your YouTube video as well. So I don't think it's necessary. I get that it's part of your brand, and that's probably why you want to feature it. And I think it's a cool thing, right? A galaxy cutout. But it might not be serving you very well on your opt-in page, right? It's more of a branding thing. That said, I like this backdrop. You know, I like the image back here. I like that you've got a couple of colors going on. I'm going to listen to this video real quick. Fancy. Cool imagery. You know what I would love to see? I would love to see like somewhere around here, like 5 seconds in, because I do think that the imagery is very cool. All these video effects you got going on. You got the particles and the fire and all the things, right? I would say after that image, right? And when it gets to, this created by you, I would insert yourself. Maybe you don't want to be on video. Girl, I don't want to be on video either. I do this every 3 weeks, and I'm like, put on my face, right? Get my ring light. So trust me, I feel you if that's where you're at. But I would love to see you in here. I think that you're going to find that is really kind of like a game changer, right? I get the vibe of the music. I mean, it sounds like well produced, right? But I think, especially in this genre, but in all music really, is that there are so many people doing music that is similar, you know, especially because there's been this rise of awareness of like niche genres and stuff like that. So now people are like defining themselves even more. Like, it's not pop, rock, hip hop, right? It's like, you know, Celtic rock and this and that, you know? So that said, I do think that you probably have, you know, kind of a niche appeal, but what makes you truly different is your face and your personality and the things that are you as a person, right? That's what makes them choose your pop music, your mystic pop music over somebody else's mystic pop music, not just because you fit a genre or a niche genre, right? So I would recommend around, you know, the 5 to 6 second mark, go ahead and get in there, right? And even if you put some like cool filters on it, I don't know if you've got these video skills or if you commissioned them, hired them out, you know, but you could probably do something pretty similar even to your own video if you want to put some kind of smoke and mirrors on you. But I would say like get your personality in here, right? The music sounds great. That's just what I would recommend. And then I think that I would make this center justified. I know it's just a little thing. I would make this center justified. I don't know if MailChimp lets you put in 2 opt-in forms. I don't think that they do, unfortunately. So if I were you, if you're only allowed 1, I would remove this logo and put the form here above the video. If you can do 2, then I would say put the form still above the video, but then put another one further down here. So I'm going to look at the rest of your page real quick. These are cool. These little rainbow images. I love that. We've got some quotes here. Yeah. I like your imagery. Like your branding is very clear in the imagery. I like that a lot. It reminds me of that Snapchat filter where you can actually have like a rainbow on your face. I'll be honest, I totally used Snapchat filters. I like recorded tons of videos in Snapchat, didn't post them to my Snapchat, and then downloaded them, saved them in my camera roll, and then put them into video because I liked the filters so much. There's also something called Snap Camera that you can get for your PC, but you could add like rainbow and sparkles and stuff on your, the video, whatever video you decide that you're going to put in at that 5 second mark, if you decide to do that. But that would be super cute too. Yeah, this is really cool. I don't know if you need this many testimonials, but I like that you're saying here, like, why, what am I getting? Why should I do this? In fact, I'd like to see more of the why. And, you may end up covering that in your video. Like, why is this special? Why is this more than just 3 songs? Like, what else? Who are you? Like, what is the investment here? So I think it'd be cool to see some of that in here or in your video, one of the two. And like I said, I don't think you may not need this many testimonials. I do like the imagery. So it is an excuse to have more pictures. So again, like this image. Okay, so there is another button here and it brings you back up here. Okay, cool. So if you can do that, I would put this form at the top and put buttons intermittently throughout. Even like under this why subscribe business, you could put a button right here. And I think that would be another logical place where somebody would think, yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay, cool. So those are my notes on that. But overall, it looks really good, Michelle. And your branding is very clear, which is really important. So I was happy to see that as well. All right, back to the comments. All right. So you recommend a full-length video for FanFighter. I absolutely do. Now, some people want to run shorter videos, and especially IG definitely has more engagement, which is what, that's what makes us feel good, is when people are engaging and we're getting more views and whatever. And so IG has far more engagement, but that actually has much less consumption because people have learned to have much less of an attention span. There's 15-second stories, no more than a minute posts, right? You can post tons of photos if you want, but that's just because you're scrolling left instead of scrolling down, right? So, or scrolling right. So, that's why I think a lot of short form video has been gaining popularity, is because people are like, I want to be on IG. The thing is on IG, like those 1-minute videos, right? Is that it's very difficult, as I was saying, to gauge what someone's authentic interest is in you. So it just means that you're going to have to advertise more. So it's not necessarily that there's anything wrong with a 1-minute video. That's fine. The problem is that you're going to have to advertise several times to really gauge if somebody's interested and then get them into a funnel, right? Where you're trying to like turn them into a customer. So just increase your costs. And that's why we recommend long fan finders, because if you do a long video, like a 3-4 minute video, you probably only have to advertise to them once, as long as it's not a lyric video and it's something with your face and where you're recognizable. You probably only have to advertise to them once before you can be like, hey, let me give you something. because you're targeting 75% views. They've already spent 3 minutes with you. Whereas with a 1 minute video, you'd have to do 3 of them before they'd get to that familiarity of who you are. See what I'm saying? So yeah, that's why we make that recommendation, is just because we're trying to help people build a funnel that can be profitable. And if you can advertise 1 video instead of 3, you're that much closer to getting an ROI on that funnel. Like I said, doesn't mean that you can't do shorter videos. It just means that you're probably going to have to advertise more than 1 video to a person before they feel the same ownership if it's under that minute. So that's my 2 cents. Dylan says, because it gives enough info for Facebook to determine that the people that made it were definitely interested in you. Yeah, absolutely. See, you guys are just taking care of each other. Again, I love that. Michelle says, I'm not happy about that. What do I do? It does that when I use HTTPS as opposed to HTTP. Yeah, that's the thing about MailChimp landing forms, which I know they're free, right? And I know that everybody wants to use them. They also, I noticed there wasn't a pixel installed on your MailChimp sign-up form. I'd recommend putting that there, right? Because then you can, at least if you advertise that page, you can optimize for landing page views. The problem though, unless it has changed in the last 2 weeks, the pixel will install on the landing page, but not talk back to Facebook and tell them this is a lead, right? So we cannot optimize for leads, which is really what we want, right? We want people to be signing up. Whether or not they view the landing page is great, but I want them to sign up. So if I can't see how many signups I'm getting because of this ad directly, it's really difficult to gauge an ROI on that and a cost per lead, right? And that's how we do math for advertising. So that's the only bummer about that. I would contact MailChimp support and say, yo, like this needs to be fixed. I don't know why this is happening. I want to be able to use a secure page. So yo, what's up? They're the service provider. So definitely be bossy. You hired it out, but they can't make adjustments. I'll have to make a whole new video. Well, or you could splice in your section, right? Even in iMovie, you can take an existing video and be like, okay, split, and like push it apart and put in your thing. Do a little crossfade between the two. Good to go. And I think you'll find people don't need things to be stupid fancy, right? If your setup looks, you probably want it a little nicer than what I got right now. But if you're well lit and have some of that music going on, like maybe you take that music down, and make it really quiet or something behind you. That's really all you need, Go ahead and go to the comment section and take a look at what Katie's got, and imagine putting like what Katie has in her YouTube video. Imagine just like inserting that, or even a shorter version of that, into what you already have, and just spreading out the video around it, right? So that's something you could do, and it's really easy in like iMovie or whatever. Do you recommend a better service for a lead page? Yeah, our ClickFunnels Share Funnel is $19 a month. Also, Lead Pages, it has good landing pages, but those are more expensive. For Squarespace, which I am transitioning, as you may have seen in the Indies group, I'm transitioning from Squarespace to WordPress. But I am, let's see, was I not even sharing your page, Michelle? I can't remember. I hope I was sharing the page while I was doing your audit. I hope so. Anyway, let's see. So if you go to CorrinCampbell.com right now, it's completely, it's just this page because I have a new website in progress. I'm building it on WordPress. So this has like my latest single that came out. So this is not an example of what to do with your website. It's only because my new one is in progress. Now with Squarespace though, and if you look in the pro section, yeah, if you look in email marketing, in contact management, website integration, I think, If you have Squarespace, it shows you how to integrate, for example, a Squarespace landing page. Now, this is all you get in Squarespace. But again, I think that it is of my opinion, based on the campaigns that I've run in the agency, as well as for myself, that if you are doing your advertising right, if you're targeting 75% and above on Fan Finder, right? People who are properly warmed up, and you're explaining in your ad what they're signing up for. I put a lot of weight on the audience targeting and the ad to basically make sure people are already ready by the time they get to this page, right? I definitely, I put a lot of pressure on myself to do that, because landing pages are just getting there's just so many of them, right? Like if somebody goes to a store, there's a pop-up where people are logging in, you know what I mean? And so for me, I just try to put more weight on how I'm targeting people and then what I'm telling them before they get here, so that they don't have to rely on the opt-in page to know what it's about, right? And so for me, I just use an image and then, some copy to kind of give a little more information than I would. And in case they skip the video, because a lot of people will be like, yeah, I get it, I want to sign up. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand on this. But this is what I used for my landing page for my opt-ins, and you can see it just does this. It went to a Google Sheet, which zapped over to my MailChimp. I don't use the native Squarespace to MailChimp integration. But my cost per lead on this was, I want to say 32 cents or something. It was super duper cheap because I'd advertised, and I think because I targeted well. So, it doesn't always have to be the page that changes it. I think a lot of times, and especially in our audit sessions, when we get people's opt-in pages or are looking at these things, and they're like, oh, I'm getting bottlenecked on my opt-in page. It's my opt-in page. It's my opt-in page. And usually what it actually is that they don't have enough audience, or that they're targeting 25% and above, or that their ad is not explaining, the cool stuff, right? Or, or there's a segment between the Fan Finder and the face that's on the ad, right? And people are like, who's this person? And then they'll click it because they don't know who that person is. They're like, maybe I'll remember who this person is. Like, why am I seeing this? But then they don't opt in because they're like, I don't remember this guy or gal. So anyway, so yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. So there's some options out there. But yeah, I would say the other thing you could do is go for Messenger, and build your opt-in funnel on Messenger, and go for do JSON ads, which you'll find in Messenger marketing training. If you don't end up wanting to do email, we do sell better from email, and that's still kind of the primary. But we've also seen opt-ins and sales in MailChimp, or I'm sorry, in ManyChat, which is Messenger. So, you just don't know. So Dylan says WordPress is king. It's the most frustrating, and you will at times want to throw your computer, but if you get to the end, it's the lowest cost. It is definitely the lowest cost. And you can do a lot more of what you want to do. Lucy's having a friend build her WordPress site. Do you recommend having that and ClickFunnels, or can I have it all built in WordPress? I'm sorry, this is probably redundant. I'm on a limited budget. Yeah, all the things, right? Like, we're always tempted to have all the things that we can. In WordPress, you can do a lot of the things that you can do in ClickFunnels, especially with added plugins, but those plugins are not less expensive than our ClickFunnels share funnel, which a lot of people don't realize it. In either the free plus shipping and handling funnel and or the ultimate album launch, there is, in those trainings, there is a share funnel, which is $19 a month. ClickFunnels is $97 a month. And we've seen actually a lot of indies, they hear us say ClickFunnels and they just go get ClickFunnels. And it's $100 every month. And I wouldn't spend $100 on ClickFunnels because I don't need it that much, especially because I have a primary site, right? So I hate ClickFunnels. I hate it. It's clunky. It is difficult to connect to other things, right? It's kind of buggy, but it sells better than anything else out there, better than a Shopify store, right? It doesn't sell better than Thrive cart, right? But that's $300 a month, which we're not going to spend. So, depending on what you want to use it for, I think ClickFunnels is really good for if you're selling like a CD with an upsell or an order bump, right? And it works really great for opt-ins. So if you can get that $19 a month share funnel, it's more affordable, right? And it can you can end up making a return on it if you're pushing people through it to sell products. So that's my opinion on that. Dylan and Lucy are chatting. Dylan, quit stealing my thunder. All right, so I'm just kidding. So Michelle says, how long do you recommend a lead video to be? It doesn't really matter. As long as it takes for you to say what you think is important, right? And again, like the video is about exposing your artistry, exposing your personality in your artistry. So if you're someone who's chatty, I'm chatty, So I have longer videos. The only time I do short videos is when they have to fit into IG stories or into, sometimes I'll do Facebook in-stream ads, which are super fun. These little bumper ads that are 6 seconds. And I'll just do silly things for brand awareness. But like otherwise, I have long videos because I'm talkative. You guys are probably noticing that. And that's my personality. So otherwise, if you're not chatty or if you're not comfortable on video, then just say the things that you need to say, like state the benefits, right? Say, hi, this is who I am. This is what you're going to get. And I love you and thank you or whatever, and if that's all you want to say, that's totally fine. Like Katie's video was 58 seconds. I think one of the other opt-in videos we saw today was like 35 seconds, 38 seconds. So there's no standard as far as that's concerned. So, hey, Lucy, you can do upsells and bumps on WordPress, but WordPress itself is not a cart. So it depends on what cart you use. So like if you use WooCommerce, especially the free version, you're not going to be able to do bumps and order bumps and upsells. So that, you'd have to get a plugin, and most of those plugins are more than a ClickFunnels share funnel will cost you. So it just it depends on what you need to do. Great. So now my comment plugin is not loading, which this happens every once in a while, and I don't know why. But it's very, very frustrating. My Facebook comment thing sometimes decides to hide. So hold on a second, guys. I'm going to log in as someone else and see if it fixes it. I think it might be when I'm logged into our site as an admin, that the Facebook comment plugin will just sometimes not want to work for no reason whatsoever. All right, let me see. Fingers crossed, everybody. Is it loading? It is! Okay, great. Sorry. I'm sure you are all just dying to know. Okay, so, oh my gosh, we have so many more comments. Okay, so Pedro's here. Hi. You launched your first fan finder looking for some feedback. Also had a question, would a bi-weekly YouTube music video like the fan finder above be a good way of doing recurring content, or is it too infrequent? Well, first off, I'll just answer recurring content can be whatever you want. Just set an expectation with people and then follow through, right? I think the biggest thing, even within an entrepreneur, is sometimes we overpromise and underdeliver because we do a lot, but people still want more. Like no matter how much we do with our 3 full-time staff and a couple part-timers, no matter how much we're trying to do, people want more from us, right? So I think the most important thing is to just set an expectation. I know some people who do recurring content once a month, right? Like look at Patreon, right? Some of them do one thing a month. Some of them do one thing every week. Some of them do multiple things a week. It just kind of depends. But as long as you set the expectation so that people know, like, I think you could do up to once a month and be okay. I think weekly is probably best. If you want to do more than once per week, then, or do it, I'm assuming bi-weekly, you don't mean 2 a week, you mean once every 2 weeks. I think that would be fine. Although a YouTube music video, I let me check out what you're talking about. I can't play the video. Let me see if I can find it on your page, because it won't play there. I'm assuming this is going to be the same one. 4.5 minutes. Nice, healthy fan finder length. Cool. I'm assuming I'm gonna kind of, what's that? Did I see another one? I was just looking for other shots, other layouts here. Oh, you're playing bass. Cool. I'm a bass player, so respect. Yeah, I think this is cool. I mean, this song in particular is pretty ballady, right? So it's definitely kind of a lower energy. It's chill, which probably would do great on Spotify, right? When people are in a certain mood. This can be very difficult to have a successful fan finder with, though, just to make you aware. It's just a lot of people need a pattern interrupt. You can take a look in the fan finder training if you want to kind of see what I'm talking about. But that said, I like that you're kind of overlapping. If you look in the Indies group, you'll see Caracol, who's in there, and I'm constantly referencing her videos where it's the same kind of thing as we were seeing with sorry, I was distracted for a second here. It's the same kind of thing where we've got, if someone plays multiple instruments, they're kind of like splashed together, right? And that's been a YouTube thing for a long time. A lot of like vocal YouTubers, musical YouTubers do that, or even the pentatonics, like they'll cut up their videos, even though they're different people. They'll do like a Brady Bunch thing with it, right? So, and that's what I usually call those videos, is Brady Bunch videos. So yeah, I think those work. You'll probably be better off doing something live for recurring content. That's really more what we're talking about when we reference that, but this can also work. But yeah, you might, let me know how your fan finder is going, but I do feel like you could possibly need something higher energy to really get everybody's attention the way you want. So that's my 2 cents there. All right, keep going, Michelle. This is a better link to my opt-in page. I think maybe you posted that before I started your stuff. Well, this either it remembered me or Michelle. I actually got to that before you posted it. All right, Dylan says, yesterday I published a video I want to use for my fan finder on my page. It's getting a rapid amount of social proof organically. I want to use it as my fan finder. I've heard that you must upload it as an ad and then publish later once you have social proof, but I already published and I don't want to delete my video and its pre-existing algorithmic momentum and proof. So can I instead keep my post up, upload the same video, not the published version, but the actual version, find my winning headline text combo, and then, okay, so I see where you're going with this, Dylan. Basically, your the thing that you published on your page that's getting a lot of stuff, getting a lot of social proof, you can either use that exact post with its existing headline and its social proof, or you have to create a different, you can't switch out headlines. And the reason why Facebook did that, and they kind of did that a couple of years ago, right? And they even limit edits now to posts that have been advertised and boosted, is because like Black Hat folks would like advertise some video of puppies or something that everyone likes, and then they would change it over, change the entire post by editing it, right? And adding like offensive stuff or political content or whatever. Like they would totally change the content and context of what was happening. Or even like if there's an article and, you're advertising that article and the copy is inflammatory, or you change it from docile to inflammatory. That's the kind of stuff that Facebook is trying to work against. And unfortunately, that just means that we cannot change the copy of something once it's advertised, right? So what you could do is like, you don't need to upload the same video. You can already it's already on your page, right? So let me show you how we would do that real quick. I always forget that my face is covering some of the screen there. All right, so let's say I go in here, right, and I want to build some ad, and I'm just gonna go through this and do this super quick because it's none of this stuff matters. Yeah, let's say I'm doing that. All right, I don't even know what this is. Yeah, that's all I wanted. Great. Okay, so when you get to the ad level, right, you would use an existing post, right? If you were going to use the one that's already published with all the social proof, or you can create an ad, right, and add a video. And when you go into your page, I don't have any. Okay, I was going to say I have videos on my page. You can get the videos here. Now, this is selecting the video that is not the one with all the posts on it. It's just the content, right? Just the video content. But, so in theory, you could set it up using this video and then test out a bunch of headlines and whatever. And then since you have not boosted or advertised your existing post, you could identify in your advertising what headline worked the best and then interject that into your existing post. But you're not going to keep any of the social proof of the ads you just ran, right? So you probably would want to figure it out pretty quickly so that you weren't wasting a lot of dollars on posts that were just ad posts and weren't going to be published to your page. So you're not going to be able to combine that advertising set with your existing post. However, what you could do is run that test, creating this ad with that video, which is I think what you're asking. And then you can basically start advertising your existing post after you've made edits to it. So use this version, right, to determine what headline works best and if you should change it and then edit your post, then come here and choose the existing post from your page after you've done all that. You'll just lose the social proof that you had on all of the ads that you ran on these, different headlines. So those are your options there. You can change text on a published post. You just have to do it for, yep, exactly. So yeah, you would just lose the social proof from your ads. Yep, you got it. Okay. Could you also take a look at my opt-in page? That is all. Okay, but then you post it again, so I don't believe you. Just kidding, Dylan. I'm going to leave that. Okay, so, whoa, there's yellow and red. All right. That's a lot of color. That's my first impression. You're missing an apostrophe here. Albums, right? And then I would put a space between free and then this business just to break it up a little, right? Claim your spot. Okay, gotcha. So obviously ClickFunnels site. You've got page view firing 3 times. And it looks like you've got a few different things in here. So you might want to double check your code installation because this looks a little cray. In fact, let me look at it real quick. Boo, boo, boo. Okay, so in our header, Facebook pixel. Yeah, so this in here is looking a little non what we want. Because like this is our page view, right? And this should be your pixel code, but this is just looking a little bonkers to me. Like maybe you accidentally pressed enter on some of that stuff, and so that's breaking breaking the function, right? So anyway, double check your pixel code installation, because I think you might have, a little bit of something going on there. So anyway, these colors kind of, I can't tell if I like it or not. I do notice that there's a lot of different fonts happening. Like this all caps looks different from this all caps. I also can kind of see that this color is different, right? So take a look at those. I would pick like at most 2 fonts for your page, right? So if you want like a body kind of like your body text, you want that in one font and then your headers in one font, you can do that and then use all caps or not all caps as your styling. Or you could pick one and do all of it in that way. But you want your font on your buttons, your font up here, your font in here. You want them to be complementary and minimize just kind of the, because like I think that's part of why I feel this is so aggressive, is that you've got like things in bold and all caps, right? And then this is all caps, and then you've got all of these colors. So I think it's a little too much. That's what I would say about that. I also don't know what's up with this little blank area over here, if that's on purpose or like part of the photo or what, but might want to check out justification on that. I also wonder if like maybe it's supposed to show your face further over than that, right? Because the text is currently like right on your face, which isn't a bad thing necessarily. If that was your intent, that's fine. But yeah, that's my 2 cents there. Okay. I think I liked this stacked kind of V formation. Part of me wants to see them all on one line, like directly next to each other and not this V. But let me like clear my eyes and come back to it. Okay, another claim your spot button. Great. And then we've got some story copy. Okay. Enter you. I would put that in italics or something to kind of be like the significant person, you, right? Okay. Yeah, this looks good. You're definitely like being personal, right? Which is the whole goal of that. This formatting looks a little weird. There's this space in here. I would try to limit your use of bold, and instead, because this, I mean, maybe it's not, but this looks bold. Yeah, I would lighten that up. It just feels very heavy. I like your logo. I don't know if Dolce & Gabbana is going to be after you, but I like it. I like the color scheme of it. The other thing to consider too is that you've got like all of this black and yellow and red on here, which is already like it's one more color than I would like. But your logo's in this cool spacey blue, right? So it might be pretty rad to incorporate that into what you've got going on this page. Yeah, so I would say you've got your apostrophe here, put a line break between this, pick your colors, and pick your fonts. I still think that I'd like this better on one line. I see that they're top justified, but it throws me off that the fonts aren't, or that the text is not in one line. I would expect these more to be bottom justified. So I would say put them all on the same bottom line and then your text in there. Otherwise, this part looks great. Just take some of that bold out of there. Maybe make these 2 things at the bottom not bold and a little smaller, because they're not very interesting, right? They're just kind of technically we have this thing here. And otherwise, I think you're good. I do, again, look at, like, if you made that black color like the darkest blue in here, and then you made like your bright stuff some of the lightest blue in here, and then you wanted to, like, I think that's where you can get away with multiple colors. If you want to have 3, 4, 5 colors, is when they're kind of a monochrome influence, right? They're all in the same color group, which is kind of what's sprinkled throughout your logo. So that would be my recommendations for this page. But otherwise, it looks good. Double check your pixel. Make sure that that's pasted in correctly. But otherwise, you should be good to go. All right. And then you set up ManyChat, but it doesn't initiate when someone signs up. I don't know how to connect my conversations to people who sign up. All the paths are written. It just doesn't start. All right. I'm going to click that. And if I put up a YouTube video as unlisted, so only your email list can see it, and then a couple weeks later you publish it so everyone can see it, does this deprecate your... Yeah, there's a debate about that. There's a debate about if even... Here's what I'll tell you. James Charles, Jeffree Star, right? Like the Shane Dawson, these like major YouTubers, they upload their videos in real time. And they have people at YouTube who talk to them, right? And tell them how to maximize their stuff because they have 15 million subscribers, so they get that attention. I know Jeffree from Warped Tour days, and that's what he always does. He always uploads it in real time. He does not upload it as unlisted and then set a publish time, because they upload on the same day, same time, almost all the time, right? They upload in real time. And so, you know, for Full Stack Creative, we schedule stuff a lot of the time. Sometimes we upload them right away. I mean, it's more Cirque's lane than mine, but sometimes we schedule them. Sometimes we, just post them, that kind of thing. Like, we don't know for sure the answer. It's kind of like Spotify. Like, they don't totally tell us how it works. But I have a feeling, just based on what I see from the people who are doing a lot, that there is a little bit of kind of a disadvantage to uploading something and doing it as unlisted, right? And then publishing it as far as your organic reach. That said, YouTube organic reach kind of sucks unless they have the bell turned on, So is it going to hurt you? Probably not, unless you literally have, a few 100,000 subscribers. I wouldn't worry too much about it. But that's my 2 cents on that. So now let's look at your messenger. So if I click get started, does anything happen is the question. Nothing happens. Well, so make sure, let's look in here right quick. If ManyChat wants to load ever. Okay, there we go. So make sure, obviously, in your welcome message, right, make sure it's turned on to enabled here. I'm assuming that you probably already have it on, but that's how you do that. But the thing is, like, even your default reply is not firing, but this is what it looks like if you don't have something enabled. So you can do all of the work in it, right? But if you don't switch that on, then you're done. So that's something that may be a problem. Other things that you can do to try to fix it is go to settings and go down here. Wait, where is it? Oh, refresh permissions. Every once in a while, ManyChat's API connection breaks and things just don't work. So, and they always tell you, hey, refresh your permissions here. It's usually the fix all button as far as ManyChat's concerned. So you could try that. The other thing to check, don't you love how everything's hard? The other thing you can check is if you go into your page, right? Hi, can I scroll all the way to the top, please? I do not understand Facebook sometimes. What is happening? All right, how about if I try a different page? Sorry, guys. Technology is just like, screw you today. Okay, so if I go in my settings here, right, you're going to see here in the Messenger platform, you can set apps, right, and ones that are like the ones that are working and whatever. So go ahead and make sure that, ManyChat is in here, right? And then when you configure it, your primary receiver, you want to make ManyChat. Now, I don't have to have that set up because it's the only thing that responds, but sometimes that helps when things just aren't responding the way I expect them to, right? You shouldn't have to do this. ManyChat should pick it up naturally. But if those other two things do not work, if it's already enabled and you've already refreshed permissions and it's still not working, I would make sure that you have that responses are partially automated, right? Because then it'll still import to your Facebook inbox, but also it'll make sure that it's open to automation, right? So this, and again, configure here, make sure that everything has the configured that you can set this to ManyChat and see how that goes. Let me know if that doesn't work. You can always post in the group and I'll get back to you, but that should fix your problem, hopefully. All right, Katie has a basic question, and we're just about ready to wrap up, guys. I know we've went a little long, but I was late, so I was only late by 5 minutes, and we've gone further over, but I wanted to make sure everyone's question got answered. Katie says, do I need a lookalike audience for album launch? I'm waiting to hit 1,000 my 75% video view before I can create a lookalike. I feel like I'm just wasting money, but I'm guessing I do need a lookalike. You don't need a lookalike, but what I will tell you, Katie, is that you're going to want a lot of people at the top of the funnel. You're going to, if you're targeting 75% video viewers and you haven't hit 1,000 yet, your launch isn't going to be profitable. Like that, I mean, I don't want to say that for absolute certainty, but it's very difficult. Unless you already have an existing list, an existing fan base, and they haven't yet engaged with it, and it's an album that they don't know about yet, right? Then maybe. But think about it this way. From the fan finder views, we usually expect, if we retarget those people with an ad, so say you have like 1,000 people there, we expect 10 people to end up landing on the landing page, right? So, or 10%, sorry. If you have 1,000 people, we expect 10% of them to like click through and land on the landing page, right? Which only puts you at 100. Then we expect those pages to convert at about 40%. So now that we're down to 100, that puts us at 40 people. And then we expect about 10% of those people to like go through your experience and buy. So that brings you down to 4 people, right? And again, those are super broad assumptive numbers and standards, right? Like it totally depends. But when we're looking at agency and we're looking at our audience counts, that's what we're looking at is 10% from fan finder to landing page, 10%, from landing page and sign up, 40%, and from signed up to purchase, 10%, right? And usually maybe 25% of those people will take the order bump. So you'd have 4 CDs and with 1 upsell in theory, if you only had 1,000 people at 75% video views. And that's why a lot of people end up changing their audience. They'll be like, oh, well, I'll just go 50% up and then I've got more people. And it's like, yeah, but you probably don't have any more people that are going to buy than you did at the 75% mark. But now you're spending more money, and that's the hard truth of it. And a lot of, in the group, I feel really bad because people are like, my launch didn't work. And it's like, well, you like have to have your face in things, right? People need to know who you are. You have to have good content, which most indies have good music, right? But some people are trying to do it and, there may be an audience for it, but like I wouldn't be able to find them. And then like it's audience, are you getting the right people and do you have enough of them? So a lot of people will try a launch before they have that accumulation and it just can't keep up with it. So that's my 2 cents about that. And if you can delay your launch, until you get those numbers, that's probably what you want to do. Because otherwise you're not going to make the money back. And that's tough. All right. TJ, he'd love some first thoughts on your website. Let's do this, TJ. I hope that was helpful, Katie. And I hope it's not discouraging, but it's just the reality of things. Well, you have a pop-up when I get here. I wonder if that's firing something. Okay. But I think this should be an opt-in, personally. Maybe you want it to be affirmation, but usually the first thing I want people to see is permission. Now, I know when I close this, there's permission right here. So I think you're fine. Okay, great. So the menu, we got a lot of pictures happening here. What does this say behind illumination project? Rep, right? I wonder if you could offset that a little bit. Now, again, I'm not familiar with your brand the way your fans are, so they might know what that says already. But as a, new person, I'm going to check. Oh, listen is a listen page. Cool. Got it. Other places to listen. We don't love Spotify playlists on websites, just so you know. We've run heat maps on lots of artist sites, and these do not get. I mean, they might press play real quick, but they don't get used. And a lot of people, they'll just get like a 30-second preview because it's not actually in Spotify, and they don't have it linked to their browser, like their Spotify user info. So then they don't even count as a monthly listener. Unless they listen to the full preview. So we typically don't go for playlists on websites. Same thing with SoundCloud. We typically just don't put players on sites. I know that's counterintuitive, right? But it doesn't, it kind of circumvents the purpose of having your stuff uploaded somewhere else, right? I get that you're probably trying to get people to spend more time on your site and kind of think of your site as a place to spend time. And that's not I understand why that's desirable, but chances are they're not going to interact with that very much. Try to see if you can get this pop-up to only appear once. I know some tools are not great about it, but experience is your movement. That's cool. I think as a user, I don't totally understand I understand what listen is. I think it'd be cool though to have this outlined a little better. Sorry, I'm getting thrown off because these look like they're right of center. Am I a dum-dum? Maybe I'm a dum-dum. That happens. It looks, when this is zoomed out, maybe it's because this person's giant head is here. And you're not directly center, but I want these buttons to like be on this and this side of you. So it makes it look off. But I guess, it looks in line with the menu, I guess. I'm like trying to see it. So the other thing too is I don't know where your shop is, but it could be good. This looks like a Shopify store to me, if I had to guess. There it is. I would see if you can use the buy button sales channel, even if it's just for this one thing, right? I'm confused though why, you say more coming soon, like you only have some items in the store. Okay, gotcha. When I first saw this, I assumed there weren't going to be products here. I don't know. My brain just processed coming soon, ... and thought that you would not have products here. So might want to look at the verbiage of that. But I would take the buy button and put a couple things, right? Like maybe on, justified on the left or right. And like having an example of what it is so that people know, and then having a shop now button underneath it or something like that. I think that could be cool so that people have a better understanding of what this is. I mean, especially because we've got, you don't have parallax rolling, but you've got this image of the shirt, right? But because of the zoom on it, it's cropped in a way where I can't really tell that that's the point of the photo, if that makes sense. Especially because the text is over it and then there's trees. But I like the imagery. It's really cool. And then you've got your song kick in here. Great. Bring us to your city. Cool. I think what could be really rad, and I'll show you an example if you want. If you have a booking agent, then I understand why this wouldn't work. But like on this site I was showing you guys earlier, you know, like on JAWS, it says like, don't see your city, click the button. And this is actually, if you look at the link down here in the bottom right, I'll click it again. Or, oh, you guys can't see that. Darn it. Come on, OBS. See when I hover over it down at the bottom left of the screen, you can see this is a Messenger reference URL. And it doesn't even just link to his Messenger period. It links to a very specific flow that gathers their location and talks to them like, hey, we're going on tour, right? So if I click that, you can see, oh, I wasn't subscribed to him on this profile yet. Okay, so see how he says, would you be down to answer a couple questions to help me plan my tours this year? I'm like, sure. Which of these locations do you live? And so now the bot is actually going through the process of gathering where I am, right? Adding my info to basically a tallied spreadsheet through Zapier, as well as applying tags of a DMA market to my user profile, right? So that could be a cool thing. Now, if you have a booking agent, that might not make sense. But, you know, that's a cool way that you might be able to amp that up if you wanted to. Otherwise, though, I think this looks really good. I'm going to go ahead and open these other. Oh, they don't open in new tabs. It's like, nope, you don't get to. About. It's waiting. Cool. I don't know what your site is built on. I'd check your load time. Because I have like 300 megabyte download speed. And that was kind of a delay. Just, you know, I mean, that's a minor thing, not a big deal. Good. I like these photos. Everything's justified. I think it could be cool to have the justified sender, which I know is not as fun. But because of this like white gradient that you have on the side, they're really aggressive left. Or maybe you could put a couple spaces in there so that they don't overlap with that gradient. Because it's just making that first letter a little hard to read. Same thing here. This white with the white text behind it is a little difficult to read, which I know like on here, not so much, but when you get onto mobile, it cuts right through it, right? So some of this justification, I'd center this photo to, you know, some of those just little things about when you get down to mobile. I know some website builders or whatever, they don't make mobile view very easy. It's a little bit difficult to troubleshoot your mobile. So, but usually like squishing the screen can help you. All right. So you've got some videos here. You got some music here. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that, like, if you look at this site for Ja, right, like he's got his latest video here with a subscribe button, and then he's got more videos. That was because his management wanted it, but otherwise I wouldn't have done it. I would have just referred them out, and not have it embedded on my site because A, it's going to load faster on wherever they're hosted, and B, people will subscribe, follow, whatever, to wherever you send people. So it speeds up your site, and it also makes it native to the tool, you know. I know that that's atypical, and that's not what most people are used to when we're talking about websites, but I don't, if I build like my own site, I don't embed this stuff. I send them to where they're going to go. And even if that's like somewhere I can't track them, it's still, they're used to interacting with YouTube videos on YouTube. That's normal. They know how to save it to a playlist. They know how to subscribe to you. They know how to turn on notifications. Whereas if it's in here, they're operating kind of alien, right? Same thing with Spotify. And like they can't necessarily follow you on this. You know, you'd have to create a separate button for that and whatever. So that's just my 2 cents. I know that a lot of artists are really resistant to that. Totally understandable. I know that that's not what people are used to, but that's our 2 cents about how websites should be structured. The only other thing here is that this image again at the top is kind of blocking this out. I mean, I have a decent monitor and decent vision. So for me, like, this isn't a problem, but it could be for some of your more sight impaired viewers, if that makes sense. Otherwise, it looks good though. Like, I like the styling of it. You know, same thing on this image here though too. I like the styling of it. I like that you're using photos that are of you, of your merch, of your band. You know, I think that's great. So yeah, that's that. I'm going to refresh this page and then check the chat because I'm sure you guys have left all kinds of business. Those of you who are remaining. All right. I'm going to zoom on up. Oh my gosh. I did too many comments without checking the chat. Maybe. I suppose like that's a little bit meta there. I'm going to stop screen sharing for a minute. Okay. Doop. Dylan said his site is actually WordPress. Oh my gosh. You guys have been talking so much while I've been gone. I need to check Better. Okay. Michelle is trying to save money while you build up your business. It totally makes sense. It can be really easy to like increase your tech stack further than you're actually able to, right? So it's like, well, what investments should I make? Like what investments make me money, right? Versus doing things perfectly. Then like be generating some revenue and then add to your tech stack. And so sometimes at the beginning we have to hack it and do it imperfectly because we don't have the resources to do it perfectly, right? And that's okay. Don't feel like you have to do things perfectly the first time. You can add to things as you go. We make our recommendations. There are some things that are like we absolutely need, but there's a lot of stuff that's like nice to have, right? So you have to make that decision for your own business, but definitely tracking is important, right? Which is why MailChimp landing pages are, I know like you're trying to save money, but that is, it makes your ads less effective, which means you're spending more on ads. If that makes sense. So, Dylan's talking to Lucy. Major moment. I noticed that as well, that it disappears. It happened today as well. Yeah, that Facebook comment plugin. I don't know what it is, man. Okay, I'm just kind of rolling down. It looks like you guys are talking to each other. Michelle says, what do you guys think of having an Etsy shop as opposed to Shopify? I know Shopify is better. Etsy is free. Etsy does not provide tracking. So you won't be able to advertise or retarget people who are in your store. That's one of those things, like if you're planning on running ads, to products, then you absolutely have to have it built on something that tracks and something that tracks products, which is still my biggest gripe about Bandzoogle is that you cannot track people viewing specific products, only that they were there and then that they added to cart and checked out or whatever, but not specific products, which if you're doing an album launch and you're trying to sell the album and the upsell, you need to know that people saw those if you're going to advertise to bring them back around. Now, I would also argue that Etsy is free, but your store is the most important investment, right? And making sure that you can track it, which is why Bandcamp is on our shit list. Etsy's on our shit list, because you can't track them. So, that is your most valuable traffic is your store traffic. So if you can't pixel people at a place where they're making purchases, that is the most valuable person to track, So that's what I'd say about that. Now, you can do a Shopify buy button for $9 a month and put that on whatever your current site is, and that'll still track, right? That's still Facebook pixel compliant. So, and Etsy does have criminally high seller fees. Yep, Bandcamp does too, in my opinion. But on some of the things. Same thing with Big Cartel, right? They have a free version, but it doesn't track, which I think is baloney that they charge you extra for the pixel, but that's just how it is. Pedro has more high energy content, so he's going to try that. Perfect. Okay, yeah, Michelle posted. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss somebody's question, but also you guys are kind of talking to each other, answering each other's questions. Dylan, I was going to upload a copy of my vid to find the winning headline, change the headline of my current published post, then advertise. Will that work? That will work. Yes. You just don't have to re-upload it. Don't upload it as another video. Just use a video. You can use the video from the page without using the post from the page. You got it. Dylan's is WordPress. Got it. Color. Yeah, the colors are hideous. Don't copy off 502's page. Yeah. I mean, I didn't love the 502's opt-in page, but they had, that was really early on. They had a lot of stuff to figure out, so you're getting stuff, getting figured out. Okay. Katie's complimenting my ideas. Thank you. Dylan, that was a lot. Yep, it was a lot, but hopefully that's helpful. Dolce & Gabbana. Dylan has 600 subs on YouTube. Keep going until you're YouTube famous. Absolutely. Dylan says he didn't turn on the on button. Gotcha. Major moment. Updated your logo after a year as well. Yeah. Katie says the numbers, you're right. I dropped how much I'm putting into my fan finder, but I should boost it up. FML. Thank you. I'll have to make some adjustments. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about fan finder, and that's why we're going to be coming out with a training, I am, in the next month, like within a month. That is the green light warmth boosting, but just like a more full training. You can view it in the ground reports right now. I think it's like 4 ground reports ago. But that's why if I'm doing like casual advertising, I just keep my people who have ever engaged with my page, right? I try to just keep them warm until I can get like a bulk, right? So I'll run a fan finder test on a new video. I'll run that test for, I don't know, $5 a day for a week. So I can see what my cost per view is and kind of get an estimation on my audiences and stuff like that. And then I will shut it off until I kind of do some reverse math. Like, okay, if I'm working from sales to opt-ins to, landing page views to people in the 75% video view, and this is how much each of those things is costing me. You know what I mean? And then you can do some reverse math, which might hurt your head a little, but you can do some reverse math to figure out your budget, right? How much should I save so that I have enough people to make this profitable? It varies, right? But it helps you also figure out where your bottlenecks are, where things aren't working, and how much money to save. So also this month on Creative Juice, we're going to be talking about merch and fulfillment and margins, right? Which is it's just another component of like, okay, if somebody just makes the minimum purchase, I make this much. And if someone gets the upsell, I make this much. And so I need to have products that have margins that are this much, right? Which is why when people are doing on-demand products for their album launches, I'm like, you're definitely not going to be profitable because your margins are so small. And the way it is, you have to advertise multiple times to these people to get them to purchase, right? There's just no way. There's just no way. You want to find high margin stuff for your album launch funnel so that you can set your budget correctly, right? So anyway, we're going to be getting more into that in the podcast this month. So Katie has a new fan finder that you're going to start next month. Just have to wait for the single to drop. Absolutely. All right, TJ, I may just end up doing the links out to normal places and pixeling them on the way out. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you can create custom conversions in your pixel as well so that like, okay, this is the, there's certain parameters when people click this link with this UTM or whatever, it's a Spotify conversion, right? Which, we do lose them in the dark zone, but you can absolutely pixel, like you're saying, on your site on the way out. Dylan said bye. Bye, Dylan. Okay. TJ, makes sense with the coming soon. I did the messenger ref URL. It worked well. I'll probably switch it back. Yeah, I like that. I also like the phrase, don't see your city. Yeah. And especially if you're touring, right? And people are like, oh, I do that all the time because nobody comes to Nashville. So I'll look at, people I love who are touring, and then I'll be like, oh, Nashville's not there. And if somebody said, don't see your city, I would totally click it. No booking agent. Okay, good. And you only kept videos there to keep them on the site. All makes sense. Great. Major moment says he might change that too. Awesome. I've made it through the whole chat. I'm going to check the comment box one last time. But I think we made it, guys. Oh, and my comment box didn't even load. So you know what? We're at almost the 2-hour mark, so we are going to be done. But thank you guys so much for coming. Happy Wednesday. I hope everyone got their questions answered. And I'm just so glad that you guys were here to hang out with me. So have a great rest of your day. Ship your stuff, right? Get things done. And I will see you guys on the flip side. Bye.